everyone, my name is Leanne and today I am so excited to bring you my TBR for the NEWTs Readathon. If you don't know what the NEWTs Readathon is, I will leave the video announcement linked down below in the description, and it has all of the information you need for the readathon in that video. This readathon is hosted by the Book Roast. Her channel is amazing and the work that she has put into this readathon is absolutely staggering. It is so impressive. This readathon runs for the entirety of August and I am so excited to take part in it. The idea of this readathon is essentially based on the NEWTs exams from the Harry Potter series. So earlier this year I participated in the Owls readathon and I earned some Owl qualifications, and now I would like some NEWTs. There are also certain career paths that you can take, so I have decided that I would like to become a broom maker, and there are particular NEWT qualifications that I need in order to become a broom maker. And to do those particular subjects, I need prerequisites from my Owl qualifications. I earned an Owl in every subject apart from astronomy, so I had a lot of options, but I just really wanted to be a broom maker. The way this readathon works is that each subject has 3 challenges, and if you complete the first challenge you get a acceptable qualification, the second one is exceeds expectations, and the third one is outstanding. So to become a broom maker I need to get exceeds expectations in arithmetic and herbology and acceptable in charms, but I am going to try and get outstanding in all of these subjects because I am a show-off. Although let's be honest, if I was a proper show-off I would be trying to get more than 3 subjects, but that's just not going to happen. I am going to try and fit these challenges alongside my normal TBR goals as well, so things like reading a short story collection, a classic every month, that kind of thing. But anyways, let's just get into the books. So the first challenge for arithmetic is to read a book that has an even number of pages, and for this I am going for To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. This has 200 pages exactly, which I was really pleased about. I opened so many books to see what page number they had, and I was disappointed on so many occasions, so when I finally opened this one I was so relieved. I don't really know a whole bunch about this book. I have read a bit of Virginia Woolf before and I really enjoy her writing, so I'm intrigued to see what I think of this one. The challenge is to read a standalone, and this seems like a pretty easy book to pick for. You know, I had a lot of options on my shelves for read a standalone, but because it was a challenge that so many of my books could be applicable to, it was one of the last books that I chose. And I ended up needing a book that was featured in my most recent book haul. So if you haven't seen one of my TBR videos before, I like to do something called Tops and Bottoms, where I try and read a book that has been on my TBR for the longest time and a book that was featured in my most recent book haul. So a book that was featured in my most recent book haul is The Football Factory by John King. If you didn't know, my greatest love after books is probably football. And this is a book from the 90s that deals a lot with hooligan culture and sexism and racism within football. I think it's one that I'm going to be really interested in, and I'm excited to see what I think of it. The next challenge is to read a book that is over 350 pages, and for this I am going for Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher, and this is one of the books that is from the bottom of my TBR, so it was featured in a video I did that was about the 12 books that have been on my TBR for the longest time. This is 396 pages, so it's definitely over 350 pages. I don't really know too much about the plot of this one other than it is like a romance story, so even though it is 300 and whatever I said pages it was, I think it'll still be quite a quick read. Now onto herbology. Now the first challenge for this is to listen to an audiobook. So this is an absolutely fine challenge. I know I'm going to get this one done. And the book I am going to listen to is Kill the Black One First by Michael Fuller. Michael Fuller is Britain's first ever black chief constable in the police force, and this book is about his experiences of that, his experience of his parents being part of the Windrush generation, the prejudice and discrimination he has faced within his job. I think it's a really important read and I think I will learn a lot from this book. The second challenge for herbology is to read a book that is between 350 and 390 pages, and I have gone for The Love Song of Miss Queenie Hennessy by Rachel Joyce. I have read 2 of Rachel Joyce's other books and I really enjoyed them. I find her writing is like really uplifting uplifting. I read The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, which is kind of like a companion to this book. In that book, we follow the protagonist Harold Fry as he walks from his house to the hospital that his old friend Queenie is in. And this is that period of time from Queenie's perspective. As I said, Rachel Joyce's books are really uplifting and lovely, and I'm just really excited to read some good, wholesome writing. And the final challenge to earn an outstanding qualification in herbology is to read a book with a flower on the cover. And I was actually really surprised when I started going through my shelves and looking at how many flowers there were on it. But the book I've decided to go for is Never Greener by Ruth Jones, and there is a little daisy in the center here. This is a book that follows quite a complex romantic situation. It looks at a woman who had an affair with a much older man when she was 22, and it looks at what happens when they are reunited years later when their lives are much different. Love a book about a complex romantic situation, and I'm really excited to read this one. Now moving on to charms, the first challenge is to read a book that has a beautiful cover, and for this I've gone for my non-fiction pick of the month, and that is Constellations by Sinead Gleeson. I don't feel like the camera does justice to how beautiful this book is, but I'm absolutely obsessed with this cover. This is a collection of essays which has a lot to do with women's bodies, has a lot to do with love and sickness, to do with motherhood and death and pain. It's also told from a particularly Irish perspective, so that's obviously something that I'm really interested in, and I've heard so many good things about this book, so hopefully I will get a lot of value from it. Next challenge is to read either a graphic novel or a comic book, or read a book that is under 150 pages. When I saw read a graphic novel, I was so frustrated because I was like, oh no, I don't really read that many graphic novels. I don't really have any. So when I saw you could either do that or read a book that was under 150 pages, I was so happy. For this challenge, I have chosen my poetry book for the month, and that is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Richard Osman. Not to be confused with Richard Osman off the show Pointless. This poetry collection looks at the poet's direct experience of a terrorist attack in London in 2017. I'm sure it will be a really powerful and challenging collection of poetry, but I think it's about a topic that is really important to read about as well. And the final challenge is to read a paperback. So normally every month I get a random number generator to pick one of my books for me, and this is the challenge I decided to incorporate with that, and if it picked a hardback book, I was just gonna do it again, but the random number generator was very kind to me, and it chose Daphnis and Chloe by Longus, which is quite a short one. This is part of the Penguin Little Black Classics series. I know this is like a pastoral romance story from ancient Greece. I don't really know all that much more about it, but I definitely heard Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts recommend this a couple times, so I'm really intrigued by it. Now normally every month I will also pick a short story collection I would like to read, and I've not done that so far with this TBR, and the short story collection I would like to read is Any Other Mouth by Annalise McIntosh. I believe these stories are quite absurd, often gut-wrenching stories of like sexual misadventure, which is something that I'm definitely drawn to, but I'm gonna take a look at the rest of the NEWTs qualifications and see if I can manage to get a qualification in anything else with this book. Okay, so to get an acceptable qualification in care of magical creatures, you need to read a book that begins with A for Aragog. This begins with A, so I've got a random qualification, or I will hopefully get a random qualification in care of magical creatures. So that is it. That is my August TBR, or my TBR for the NEWTs Readathon. Let me know down below if you are participating in this readathon, and if you've done a TBR, I would love to see that video, so let me know. If you are interested in any of these books, I will leave links to all of them in the description, as I always do, and if you have read any of them, and if you have any thoughts on them, I would love to hear that as well. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. I hope you guys are well, and I will talk to you in my next video.